This is the all-new Tesla Model Y, and you might be wondering, is it any good in 2025, going on 2026? Yes, they might not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or they have the most minimalistic approach to any car interior out there, but with the very welcome Tesla Model 3 facelift changes recently, this one has had a very, very similar treatment, and it's even got a stalk. But are all those changes enough, considering there's a lot of competition out there now? So yes guys, here we go. This is the new Tesla Model Y 2025. Now, I was in a very fortunate position not that long ago to actually check out the Model Y in a studio setting. So I had about an hour with the car where I could check it out. But here, in this video, I've been living with it for the past week and of course driving around on our lovely UK roads. So I'll talk about how it rides and all that sort of thing, and of course all the changes in this video here. But first, the exterior changes. So there's no getting around it, it still distinctly looks like a Model Y, and I think this is a good thing because the Model Y being one of the most popular models out there over the past couple of years, it has that curvy nature towards the back of the car. So some manufacturers like Mercedes and BMW, they have that kind of SUV configuration, and they also have the coupe configuration in the SUV. But this is just like a blend of the two, and despite it having a curvy roofline at the back, which is distinctly Model Y, it still has a massive amount of space on the inside, which of course we'll go through, and we'll check out all the changes of course inside in a minute. Now design wise, it's lower than before, and it's taken a lot of inspiration from the Tesla Cybertruck and of course the Cybercab. Notice this light bar here on the front, divided into these three sections and extremely thin. Now the rear's also had some changes as well, so you'll notice first and foremost this piece going across here, and the light for the rear, so there's actually a light bar, is right up underneath. It actually reflects onto this piece here, so it's an indirect light bar, which is one of the largest out there apparently on this car, about 1.6 meters. But yeah, it's right up under there and reflects onto this big piece here that says Tesla. But let's quickly go through dimensions first, just in case, I don't know, you're going to park it in the garage or something like that, just to see if it's any different to before. So yeah, in case you're wondering for parking, here are the dimensions for the new one. So 4.74 meters, 1.97 meters with the mirrors folded, and 1.62 meters in height. Now prices start from 44,990 and the range can actually go up to 387 miles. But as I said, this does depend on which version you go for. So here they are all here. So there's the rear-wheel drive version, 44,990 with a range of 311 miles. Then there's the long-range rear-wheel drive version, 48,990 at 387 miles. Then the top one is the long-range all-wheel drive. Basically, that's the closest one to the one I have here, priced at 51,990. Now the 0 to 62s all vary from about 5.6 seconds down to 4.6 seconds. It purely just depends which one you go for. The other thing to factor in as well is the charging speed. All of them are up to 250 kilowatts, of course, on compatible Tesla superchargers, with the exception of the base one, which is 175 kilowatts. So something to just factor in if you were going for the base one is a slightly slower charging speed. Now, every time that I review an electric car or a hybrid or a petrol or diesel, I often compare the storage capabilities to this car just because this is one of the best. And certainly for this size car, it definitely is one of the best. It still offers about 2,100 litres across the entirety of the rear and including underneath here and the frunk. So yes, it does include the frunk as well. Now, new and improved are these buttons over here, which allow you to fold the seats down completely electrically. And they can also come back up electrically as well. And under here, there's loads of space, like so much space. You can get a whole suitcase in there. And of course, there's also the frunk as well. So yeah, there aren't many changes to the frunk, apart from one thing, which is the drain plug just down there. Because in the previous Tesla Model Y, there wasn't anything. So if you happen to, for some reason, get water in here, you had to either scoop it out or soak it up with a cloth. But now there's a very convenient drain hole plug in the bottom there, so very, very good to see. I just wish all car manufacturers, especially all EVs, had a frunk, because some of them don't. I'm glad to see that Tesla have kept it, because it's mighty useful. Right, well, let's have a look at the rear seats now, then the front seats, and then we'll get this out for the important part, the drive. Now, I'm not going to lie, kids are absolutely going to love the back here because not only is there loads of space, I mean, that's obviously really good, loads of storage and that sort of thing, we'll get onto that in a second. There's a screen literally here and you can watch YouTube. So this is testament to, I guess, whatever Tesla use for their SIM card network stuff. I don't get signal here, and yet I'm in the middle of nowhere and this is streaming a YouTube video, one of mine, in 1080p. That's pretty cool. So yeah, of course you can watch YouTube, there's Netflix on here, Tesla tutorials, Twitch if you're going to watch them on live, music as well, seat adjustments, you can turn the heated seats on, so yes, there's heated seats in the rear, climate control. Oh, and on top of that, there's also games. So yes, you can actually connect up a PlayStation controller, for example, and play games in here. I mean, I'm not sure how practical it is having it down here, so when, you know, the driver's driving and having the world whiz past you, looking down in the car is probably not the best for motion sickness and that sort of thing, but if you're quite tolerant to that, I would have loved this. This is so cool. There's 2 USB-C ports here, and of course this not having an internal combustion engine or any other variant of it, only an EV, there's no transmission tunnel here, so loads of space. This is set up for my driving position. I'm 6'2" with very long legs, and as you can see, there's loads of space. So yeah, no complaints on that part. A little bit of storage in there, and big storage on the sides here as well, and cup holders in here. So all round, loads of space, really good headroom as well, and this sunroof as well is ginormous. It's huge. The only one drawback I will say is that there is no blind. However, if you look out at the glass and then look up at the sunroof, you'll see that it is heavily tinted. And apparently, according to Tesla, I'm just going to find the exact stat that they said. Let me find this. The sunroof reflects 7 times more solar energy than before. So, I mean, it is a very, very warm day. It's currently 23, 24 degrees. Top is going to be 26 degrees. I can see the sun and it is definitely warm outside, but it is not as warm here directly in the sun. Now, this is also a black car, so I can imagine this will get quite toasty in a bit, but it doesn't feel as hot as in the sunlight. So yeah, it definitely is reflecting it. I just don't know how practical it would be if, say, for example, you didn't have any hair and you're doing a long road trip. I can imagine that the sun probably still would burn, so just something to factor in, but I do quite like it. It just makes the inside so airy, and of course, following that very minimalistic design that Tesla have. Speaking of, let's have a look at the front. So yeah, there's no getting around it. Teslas do push the barrier of minimalism to the extreme, to the point where, well, I don't think there are any buttons. But yeah, the switches for the windows, button for the door to open it. I think that's it. Oh, maybe the hazards, they're up there, but that's kind of touch, there's not really a button. So yeah, pretty much everything is just controlled on the main screen here, which I'll go through in just a second. Now, if you've never seen a Tesla before, of course, the number one thing you'll notice straight away is that there is no instrument cluster. Everything is on this screen, from opening the glove box to turning on heated seats and adjusting climate control, sat nav, of course, and your speed. Everything is on here, and it takes you about, I'd probably say 2 or 3 days to get used to the speed just being here on the top right. And it's not that far away. You either look down there or you look to the left, so you do get used to it. The one thing that was different though on the Model 3 facelift were buttons for indicators. So yes, they didn't have any stalks at all, but they have brought back the indicator stalk here. I would say kind of weirdly, it doesn't do anything else, so you can't like flash the lights or push away or do anything else. It literally just does the indicators. Just literally left and right, no halfway in between. It's just left or right. To flash headlights, of course, there are buttons on the steering wheel, which you do get used to after a while, and including the wipers as well. So yeah, there's not much to go through. We'll go through a tour of storage in a second, but let's do multimedia system first, as that is just literally kind of the only thing to look at. Now, I've reviewed quite a few car brands and manufacturers, and I have to say, Tesla are one of the best for software. It's just easy. Everything that you need to use is there. Admittedly, yes, I personally think it goes slightly overkill with everything being on the screen, but everything is right where you want it. So for example, if I do the wipers, they come up on the screen here and you can adjust them. If I do the lights, they come up here on the screen and you can adjust them. So it's just super easy. And of course, this has Google Maps built in as well. So you have satellite view as standard here, which is brilliant. So you can just type in on here and away you go. Look at that. And it's so responsive as well. There aren't many car brands and manufacturers that load and move the map this quick. I don't even think my computer does it this quick. Look how fluid that is. It's so good. Now, in terms of other things, if we go on the menu button just down here, this shows you everything that the Tesla can do with its multimedia systems. So there's built-in dash cams and like Sentry mode. From all those cameras I mentioned earlier, it can capture stuff on there and give you almost like a 360 bird's eye view, which is brilliant. And as well, of course, when you navigate to places on the sat-nav, it will tell you if you won't make it because of the car's range, and then it will just navigate you to a supercharger and just plot your route for you. It does all of the legwork. That's that covered. Let's go through a quick tour. So in here we have a USB-C port down there, quite handy. So I've got my cable in there at the moment. We have cup holders there, and oh, soft close look, which is quite nice. Then down here we have a very, oh yeah, that is quite big. Jesus. Yeah, that's a very big storage in there. It goes all the way down to almost the bottom of the floor there. And then there's 2 wireless chargers there for passenger and of course driver, so brilliant. And then glove box. Now glove box we have to open using the screen. There we go, look at that. Now I'd say that's quite on the small side, but there again, there's, I mean, that obviously compensates for that, and the storage on the doors is pretty good as well. If I remember on the Model 3 and the previous Model Y, these magnets are very, yeah, very strong. Gotta love a good magnet. Speaking of magnets, these are actually magnetized here, so they kind of come off like this and they snap on like that. So yeah. Anyway, we need to take this out for a drive now and let you know what the differences are, because there are quite a few compared to the previous one. Okay, so Tesla on this new one have actually done a few things to the suspension, and they've also done a few things to basically deaden the sound in here. And you would want that because obviously it being an electric car, it barely makes any noise. So just get over this cattle grid. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to turn off the air conditioning because that is in fact the noisiest thing. So there we go. And we'll just take this up to motorway dual carriageway speeds and yeah, see if it's any quieter. Now the beauty with electric cars is they can get up to speed very quickly. So here we are. Let's get over to the overtaking lane. I mean, yeah, I'm doing virtually 70 here. You could whisper in here. It's very much like the Model 3. So I was very fortunate enough to drive the Model 3, the legacy model, the previous one, and then immediately get into the new facelift one. And the second I drove that, you could tell that they'd done quite a few things to make it quieter in here. And although it's been a while since I drove the previous Model Y, I think it was a year and a bit ago, it is definitely quiet in here. You do notice it. So according to Tesla, this is what they say. They've added 360-degree acoustic glass and sound deadening to reduce the wind noise and impact noise and that sort of thing. So we're talking about the perforations in the road. Yeah, I kind of have to agree with them, to be honest, on that front. Apparently it reduces it by up to about 22%. That's what they quote. But even if it's not 22%, it's still mighty quiet in here. I mean, the previous one was pretty good anyway, but this is just that little bit quieter. So yeah, just like the Model 3, they have improved a few things when it comes to the suspension. I will say it is still on the firmer side compared to some other SUVs. However, I don't mean that in a bad way. I quite like to feel the road, but I also don't want to feel the road where it breaks my back, because some roads in the UK are questionable sometimes. Certainly if you've driven cars this price bracket and this size, I would have to say they are slightly smoother, but there again, I do quite like the suspension in this car for it to be a little bit more firmer, especially when you have that power, so you can feel the road and you can kind of feel what's going on. However, this would not be a complete review unless I found some negatives. So yes, I know you're probably thinking, Nick, you've just been singing the Model Y's praises all this entire time. Well, I've got to say, I think Tesla have done a pretty good job. But the thing is, there's always pros and cons to every car. Here's what I found. Okay, so pros and cons. So we'll start out with the pros first. Now, I've got to give it to the design that they've done and of course the improvements all round on what was already a really, really good car. So we're talking about suspension improvements, the quietness, sound dampening on the inside, and of course design as well. I quite like it actually with the whole Cybertruck and Cybercab thing. Maybe that's because the Cybertruck isn't available in the UK, so it's kind of like the next best thing. I don't know, but I think it's quite a modern refresh, and of course just keeping that cargo capacity, the storage capacity the same as well, and just a couple of improvements here and there on what was already a good car, so pretty good. And then that brings us neatly onto the Tesla Supercharger network. That is a massive pro for any Tesla owner, because if you've never had a Tesla before, then the Supercharger network is just always, always, always up there. And of course, then we've got the software integration as well with that. And of course, just the ecosystem that Tesla have is brilliant. And then we get on to the cons. So first and foremost, minimalism. Not everyone likes that. If you always look at the inside of a Tesla, there's barely anything there, and some people like a bit of design in the car, as in more things, like more buttons, knobs and switches to control, whereas Tesla is very much on the screen and on the screen only. Now, for some, that's not a bad thing. I always make the comparison before of like, imagine if you work in an office and then you've got two people. One person has everything really, really tidy and nothing out, and the other person is not messy, but they know where everything is. There's oak veneer wood here and this and that, and yeah, Tesla's very much on the minimal side. There's barely anything here to look at, but some do like that clean kind of approach. The second con is the gear shift. I haven't mentioned it till now, because if you notice on the steering wheel and of course the stalks, there's nothing there. So the gear shift is also on the screen as well. So it's very much, yeah, everything's always on the screen. You do get used to it. I would say it probably takes you a little bit longer to get used to adjusting the gears on there. And they even have an auto shift, which is in beta, I should add, where it can automatically change gear for you. So say you're doing a 3-point turn and then you approach an object, obviously you're gonna be going backwards. So that's still in beta, so I don't tend to trust beta things, like especially with the weight of a car, so I have that off, but yeah, it is very much on the screen. And then with the last one, I kind of mentioned it was the suspension, because if you have had similar cars like this, particularly like German cars, the suspension is much softer and it is much firmer in this, which some people might not like. I personally don't mind it, I quite like it actually, but just from having reviewed similar sized cars, the suspension is definitely softer and a bit more forgiving and a bit more floatier. So it's just something to factor in, try it out on a test drive, and you may like it. You might actually prefer it because you can actually feel the road a bit more. But yes, there we go guys. That is my review of the Tesla Model Y 2025. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or is there anything I've missed? Let me know in that comment section down below. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see you then.